Ох ты, блядь! Ох ты, блядь!
Hi guys, welcome back to Warthog Defense. I'm Seth. So, turns out surviving a Ukrainian FPV drone is just another day in the life of Russian Warblogger Andrei Filatov, who bravely got ahead of his electronic warfare protection because, well, why not? He says the jamming post had things covered until it didn't. But don't worry, according to him, it was just a tiny mistake. Almost died. But hey, no serious problems for a whole month.
Russian warblogger Andrei Filatov has narrowly survived an FPV drone strike. He says he inadvertently got ahead of the protection of a vehicle equipped with electronic warfare equipment. Almost got caught, but the Ukrainians couldn't manage it, he says. We had a jamming post of Chistuli ornithologists which covered the direction and the road of life and death. There were no serious problems there for almost a month. Then the post position was changed, and the guys made a mistake. They began to see further, and the road ended up in the radio shadow. I drove to the site earlier, and there were no problems. The Magyar birds arrived, and off we went. The guys burned. I decided to go and see what the problem was. Many do electronic warfare. I don't do it, but I'm used to being responsible for my words. And that means I have to check it myself. I knew and heard that a lot of FPVs were flying. Electronic warfare on a loaf. UAZ van. The plan was reliable, like a Swiss watch. But I forgot my glasses, got dust in my eyes. I overtook the loaf. I didn't fall under its electronic warfare. I didn't want to stop and reset the train. I dodged it, basically. We'll continue working. We'll increase and shift the electronic warfare posts. Losses from analog FPV can and should be reduced by 80 to 90%. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have successfully neutralized the commander of Russia's 83rd Motorized Rifle Regiment in the Velikoburluk sector. The Khortytsia Operational Strategic Group reported on this. The officer, identified as Colonel Lebedev, had been overseeing assault operations in the area prior to being eliminated. The 83rd Regiment is part of the 69th Guards Motor Rifle Division of the Russian Ground Forces. According to the Khortytsia Operational Strategic Group, the commander was eliminated in the settlement of Milov in the Kharkiv region. According to the Deep State resource, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are operating near this settlement, which is a border area. The elimination of this commander may somewhat destabilize the regiment's command structure and reduce the unit's operational effectiveness in this sector. Previously, a unit of Ukraine's 225th Separate Assault Regiment eliminated a Russian command post near the border in the Sumy region. During the assault, the Ukrainian unit captured Major Andrei Yartsev, the battalion commander of Russia's 30th Motorized Rifle Regiment, born in 1974. Russians panicked as Ukrainian Lyuty long-range drones appeared over the Leningrad region, deep inside Russian territory. Moments later, oil facilities in the area were struck, igniting fires and forcing emergency response units into action. Ukraine's message was clear: nowhere is out of reach. In this video, people in Donetsk are seen greeting a water tanker. And in this footage, during the rain, people try to collect at least a drop of water because the water pipeline from the Siversky Donets was destroyed by the Russians.
This is Donetsk, baby. We survive as best we can. Maybe something will come through somehow.
When Donetsk was not occupied by Russia, the city hosted the European Football Championship, as well as concerts by Rihanna and Beyoncé. Now, there is no more running water in the city. According to the schedule, water only appears in taps once every 3 days, and even then it doesn't reach every household. So water has to be delivered by tankers, with long queues forming for it. People use plastic bags as toilets, and this filth spreads everywhere. This is happening not only in Donetsk. Water is supplied once every 2 days in a number of other cities, including Mariupol. This is how Russia liberated Donbas. Why is this happening? In the past 3.5 years, since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, reservoirs in Donetsk Oblast have significantly dried up. The water supply system from the Siversky Donets River was destroyed. The region's reservoirs and underground water sources are not enough to meet the needs of the population, in part due to the extensive network of coal mines. When the self-proclaimed DPR and LPR were created in 2014, Ukraine did not cut off this water channel, as it was still supplying water to Mariupol, which remained under Ukrainian control. But at the start of the Russian invasion in February 2022, the situation changed. The Russian army, during its offensive, destroyed a unique hydraulic structure that had supplied the region's largest cities with water. The Russian authorities decided to build a new canal, the Donbas Canal, which was supposed to begin in the Rostov-on-Don area. It soon became clear that the new water pipeline, first of all, could not provide the region with the necessary amount of water, and second, it was built with numerous violations, with a large portion of the budget embezzled during construction. Crimea is also suffering from a water shortage, and the situation is worsening. One of the reasons why Russia is striving to seize southern Ukraine is that it sees this as a way to solve the water issue for the occupied territories. So, apparently, we've moved from solving it in a day to solving it in 4 years. We need to end the war in Ukraine before the end of Trump's presidential term, said U.S. Special Envoy Witkoff on Fox News. He added that the war should have never happened. If we get that solved, hopefully, it will be a big moment.
That we solve Russia-Ukraine and we get that peace deal, because it should happen. It's the war that the president is right, that should have never happened. I think we get that solved, hopefully that'll be a big moment. I think if we expand the Abraham Peace Accords, if we get a peace, a lasting peace in Gaza, if we figure out long-term peace in the Middle East, if we normalize with the state of Israel, I think that will be a crowning achievement. And then I think your father-in-law ought to get what he deserved the last time around. He ought to get the Nobel Peace Prize, but not just for one effort, for all of the effort. That's how important and relevant it is.
Couldn't agree.
In Ukrainian Sumy, a drone hit the regional administration building, Member of Parliament Kachura reported. Governor Artem Kobzar said civilian infrastructure was targeted and a drone struck a non-residential facility. No casualties were reported. The North Atlantic Alliance has warned Poland that Russia could be ready for a military confrontation with the European Union as early as 2027. This was stated by Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, citing information from NATO. Today, General Alexis Grinkiewicz, the Supreme Allied Commander Europe and the Supreme Allied Commander America, confirmed to me that Russia would be ready for a confrontation with Europe and therefore with us, as early as 2027, Tusk said. At the same time, the Polish expert community expressed surprise that such an assessment was not based on data from the Polish Special Services, according to Polish journalist Piotr Malecki of Defense 24. Last year I said that we, as NATO members, have a maximum of 3 years. This is evidenced by the results of the analysis. In 2019 to 2020, I talked to analysts who called 2028, said Mr. Malecki. Cezary Tomczyk, Deputy Minister of Defense of Poland and a member of the Civic Coalition, also spoke on this topic, according to Polish radio. Our intelligence services also point to a similar possible scenario. NATO commanders and we ourselves are talking about this, Tomczyk said. We are doing this to send a clear message to Russia and China. We know about their plans and want to prevent them, he emphasized. Now Poland, like other countries of the North Atlantic Alliance, is preparing for a possible defense operation. Just look at the level of spending on weapons, the deputy minister said. He reminded that in Poland's budget for the following year, defense spending should have amounted to about 5% of GDP, almost a quarter of the total budget. Among the measures to improve Poland's security, Tomczyk mentioned the Eastern Shield program, the modernization of the army, and the start of training for reservists. He also announced important changes in the investment process of the defense industry. We are years ahead of Germany. The law on strategic investments has been handed over to the president. In the case of drones and countermeasures, the obligation for public procurement is cancelled, he explained.
Filadę powietrzną zamyka ugrupowanie 2 samolotów F-35 Armii Stanów Zjednoczonych.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.